The lack of strong male figures in a man's life nowadays is what's causing so many young men to stay at home past the age of 18. Once you turn 18, you should find a way to move out. All you really need is about $2,000, $3,000, 2 months worth of rent. Because listen, if you have 2 months worth of rent, you have 60 days to make it happen. And now, ideally, would it be better to have more? Yes, but the point is, you have to move out as soon as possible, because while you're staying at your parents' house, you're creating this mindset of fear and you're missing out on so many of life's lessons. And any men who have moved out on their own can attest that moving out on your own makes you a man, makes you have problem solving skills. It develops those skills because you have to figure out how to make it happen. And the guys who don't, the guys who stay at their parents' house are going to sit there and comment, I'm going to save my money. Well, guess what? You can always make back money, but the lessons that you learn from life, you're not going to learn them staying at your mother's house, because you need to become your own man. You need to move out, get your own place, be responsible as an adult, because being an adult is about having responsibilities. And if you don't have any responsibilities, such as taking care of yourself, then you're not really an adult yet. The age might say 18, but until you become your own man, you move out, you handle your own responsibilities, that's when you become a man. And so many young men lack this in their life, someone letting them know that, hey, listen, it's time to move out, whether you like it or not, whether you're scared or not. Guess what? Anytime you start something new, you're going to have doubt. If you want to quit your job and you want to start that business, you're going to have doubt. Listen, I had to go through it. The same thing when I wanted to move out of my parents' house. I had to go through it. But guess what? At a certain point, I realized I'm past 18. I moved out when I was 21. And if I would look back now, I would have moved out when I was 18. Because as soon as you're the age of a man who can work and provide for himself, you should not be letting your mother provide for you. You should not be letting your mother work and have to pay for your rent, have to pay for your food. You should be taking care of yourself. Your main goal should be to work hard so that you can then provide for your family, because your family has taken care of you for 18 years. Past 18 years, they should not have to take care of a grown-ass man. They should not have to sit there and baby a grown-ass man. And I'm not saying that, hey, if you go through a tough time and you have to stay at your parents' house for fucking 2 months, then that's cool. But no man should be dependent on their mother. And even then, even if you're struggling, I believe that you should make it happen on your own. I believe that the struggle teaches you things. And any man who has ever struggled and has overcame that moment has definitely learned some things that the man who has been babied all his life hasn't learned. He doesn't have that hustler's mindset. The motherfucker who went out there, struggled, overcame that motherfucker developed a hustler's mindset. Why? Because he had a mindset of, I got to get shit done. I got to make it happen. You wake up every day with, I got to make something happen. When you're living at your mommy's house, guess what? You don't have that mindset. You do not have that mindset of, I gotta make some shit happen, because you don't have that fire under your ass. You're just chilling. You're cooling. It's all good. Everything's fine. You're smoking your little weed. You're beating your meat to your porn. And you wake up, you see your mommy, and that's it, right? As opposed to waking up in your own place and saying, it's time to go make some shit happen. It doesn't matter the place that you move out to, okay? It doesn't matter if you move out to the dingiest apartment. What matters is that you move out on your own. You take care of yourself as a man. You go and you work every single day, and you pay for your stuff. You pay for your food, and you figure out how to make it happen on your own. And then there's levels to it. Of course, you start out in a dingy apartment, then you upgrade to a better apartment. Then you might upgrade to a better apartment. Then you might upgrade to a house. Then from a house, you might upgrade to a penthouse. Then from a penthouse, you might upgrade to a mansion, right? But that's the game when you live out on your own. When you're living at mommy's house, you're not thinking about these things. You're sitting there playing video games, you're comfortable, you're going out partying, clubbing. But when you become a man, once you actually move out, that's what most men are afraid of. Most men are afraid of having to give up those things. But that's what makes you a man. That's when you become a man. When you're not sitting there and you really care about playing video games and watching porn and smoking weed. Like, I've been through all that. Listen, I grew up gaming all my life. I grew up watching porn all my life. I grew up and I was smoking weed at 16 and doing all the drugs possible. But the moment that I moved out, like, those stuff didn't interest me anymore. Why? Because now I'm a man. It's time to fucking work. Like, I don't even have time to sit there and play fucking video games. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with video games, but at a certain point you have to grow up. And there's so many guys who lack this in their life nowadays. They don't have someone letting them know, hey, it's time to put down the video games. It's time to grow up. It's time to get your hustle on and figure out a way to make it happen and stop depending on your mother. And I know there's going to be some guys who get offended by this. So what? Okay? If this is offensive to you, then get to work. Because this is the fucking truth. And back in the day, back when it was like the 90s, 80s, I'm sure men didn't even have to be told this. I'm sure back in the day when men turned fucking 18, they moved out of the house quick. Listen, my grandpa, I'm pretty sure both of them, they moved out early as fuck. Why? Because back in the day, men had work ethic. Nowadays, men don't have work ethic. Nowadays, men think it's okay to live at their parents' house and just mooch off their parents all their life. And if that's you, I hope that it makes you uncomfortable. I hope that it pisses you off so that you can get up and you can do something about it. Because not only is it nice to wake up, you can have your balls swinging around, your dick fucking swinging, and you wake up, you can call over a woman and have her come over and top you off in your own place, and she doesn't have to be quiet. You don't have to hold her mouth. You don't have to be sneaking around, sneaking her in through the window. I've done all that shit. But listen, when you become a man, it feels great. Not only are all those pros amazing, but it's the fact that you start developing a mindset of making shit happen. Because the example that I gave earlier of, if you're someone who struggles and has to move back to your parents, even I don't agree with that, right? And anything can happen in life, but even I don't agree with that. I believe that if you're struggling, you pick up some things here on the side, you do this, you do that, and even that develops the mindset of strengthening your mind to make shit happen. Because when you're struggling, guess what? You got to figure out a way to make it happen. You don't sit there and think, well, I guess I'll move back in with my parents. No. You pick up a second shift. You do whatever the fuck it takes. You make more sales. You go out there and you hustle harder. That's life as a man. And if you haven't accepted that by now, then you might have to look in the mirror and ask yourself if you are a man. Because any man who is a responsible man, a responsible adult, understands that this is the truth. Any guy, I'm not even going to say a man, any guy who refutes this is not a man. They're sitting there and they're angry about this instead of, listen, it's okay to be angry if you're going to make a change, but if you're going to be angry and try to justify why it's okay to live at your parents' house past 18, then guess what? You need to ask yourself, are you even a man? Because back in the day, guess what? The women stayed at home while the men went out to hunt. Once the man was old enough to go hunt, the man went out. Nowadays, we don't have to hunt food, but what do? We hunt money. But back in the day, the women stayed at home. So for a man to stay at home and not want to go out there, not have that spirit to go out there and hustle and go hunt some money, guess what? That man is basically a female. Because back in the day, the female stayed at home. and the men went out to hunt. So if you think it's okay to live under your mother's roof and let her go out and hunt, let her go out and make the bread and come back and have to pay all the bills while you sit there, you play video games, you jerk off, you smoke weed, you do all the drugs in the world, and you feel like everything's okay, then you need a reality check. It's time to wake up. It's time to move out, okay? So if you're watching this video, move out as quickly as you possibly can, okay? The moment that I finally decided to move out, it took me probably like a week or two. The feeling had already been inside of me for a while, but it took me like 1 or 2 weeks, and I just said, fuck it, I'm moving out. I think I had like $2,000, $3,000. But at the time, I moved out with a roommate, and it was like $600 a month. The shit was super sweet. Now I live on my own completely, but at the time I was living with a roommate. So even if you got to move out with a roommate for the time being, go for it. Because the point is that you move out, you start your own life. The moment that you move out, it truly does feel like, damn, now my life has begun. It's a completely different feeling than staying at your mommy's house. Why? Because when you grew up, all the way until whatever point you're at right now, if you're 21, 22, 23, you've been living at your parents' house, you haven't experienced what it's like to live life on your own, to live life on your terms, with your rules, not having to follow the rules of your mommy or your daddy. You live your life, you make your rules, and you make it happen on your own, all right? So that's the video for today, guys. Like the video, comment down below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.